So in terms of the linked research, this is the key theme of my presentation today. So over the last couple of weeks, months, I have dedicated significant time to look at online reviews on orphanages in various countries across Africa and Asia. And on a personal note, why I did this, I was for a work meeting in Kenya, and I added some free days at the end of my trip. And the closer I came to the coast, the more orphanages, children's homes, children's garden, children's centers I encountered. And in many of those were buses, tourist groups, safari vehicles. And I started to wonder, why is that more and more orphanages are coming up as closer as I get to the tourist destinations. So I started to look this up, and what you see on the screen on the left is what I encountered in Kenya, that I was wondering whether there is, and it seems to be, a correlation between the location on orphanages and tourist hotspots or along roads leading to tourist destinations, which of course makes you wonder what the real motive is behind opening such orphanages, and it raises seriously concerns about as I said, the ethical motives. And I wondered if here really the commercial interest takes precedence over the best interest of the child. So on the left, you see Kenya, and it's the tourist road along the coast where you have all hotels, you have tourist facilities, and then you have all these orphanages that you see here on the left. Then I was thinking whether this is maybe just a coincidence, and this can maybe not be the same in many other countries, but then I somehow then on Facebook, I got recommended tourist destinations in Vietnam. And then it triggered the interest in me to maybe go again on Google Maps and see where the orphanages are in Vietnam. So, and what I saw is that they very much align with the tourist hotspots that you see, and I took the screenshot from the guidebook that you see on the right. So this was my first key finding. There seems to be a correlation between orphanage locations and tourist attractions. So then I started to dig deeper into the reviews that I found. And just as a heads up for the privacy of the children, I, of course, have made all of the photos unrecognizable. But it was deeply concerning to see and to witness how the names of orphanages, the address of the orphanages, the opening hours, as well as many, many other contact information are publicly disclosed. And this in combination with hundreds of pictures of children, and none of these pictures were made unrecognizable, so the complete identity was exposed to the public. And I think it goes without saying that this disclosure of highly sensitive information of highly vulnerable children puts them at severe risks, and also is a severe violation of their rights to privacy. And I just here on the slide, I have many, many more screenshots, but I just wanted to show a very small selection of reviews that I saw. And I also would like to draw your attention to the number of the reviews, which really range from 69 reviews up to 1,200 reviews for some orphanages. So I think we can probably understand the amount of people that are visiting and doing volunteer work in these orphanages. So then my next key finding is that these reviews also reviewed that children are treated as mere tourist attractions. For example, they are lined up in front of a display table so the tourists can come and have a look at them. And this is, for example, the review that you see on the left, where you have children lying on the table and you have a group of tourists coming in to look at these children. And this is, I think, without doubt, highly unethical. Then children are also treated as objects for entertainment, as a subject for relaxation, or to be used for photo opportunities. And I think you can see on the pictures the children have been asked to perform. You can see, of course, I don't know if she's a visitor or volunteer who takes selfies with the children. And like you can see on the review on the bottom right, someone suggests to go to an orphanage if you want to relax your mind from your busy schedule. Something that was new to me was also a new trend that it seems to be a new thing to rent an orphanage for your anniversary, or for birthday parties, where kids are then coerced into performing for the guests. And this is, for example, the two reviews that you can see in the middle, where one is saying he has already been in the orphanage 3 times for a birthday party. And you can see in the top review that the person was very happy to see how good the children are trained in karate, yoga, classical music, and acting. And this was probably the most concerning part of the research, which deeply raised serious questions regarding the child safeguarding of the children residing at these homes. So, for example, as you can see in the middle, and again, of course, for the privacy of the child that was displaced here, I made it unrecognizable, also the addresses. Children have been completely exposed. You can see there's an address, there's the name of an orphanage, and there has been a child that was completely undressed. And this is in fact a video, so it is dancing in front of the camera. And I think this blunted exposure of children, coupled with the address, coupled with the name of the orphanage where he or she can be found, severely compromises the safety of the children and comprises him or her to all forms of exploitation, either online or offline. Then the reviews and the picture that you see on the left was shocking for me in the sense that volunteers and tourists seem to have complete unlimited access to children that is not even supervised by professional staff. Like you can see in the review, you can spend a few hours playing with children, you can teaching or doing or whatever you like. So that means there is no supervision, there is no control mechanism that would allow and ensure the safety of the children. And even worse, like you can see on the reviews on the right, and this I just picked 3 reviews because I couldn't go through thousands of reviews. These reviews are from 3 men that are using Google reviews to access girls and to acquire about the availability of orphan girls for marriage. So this was for me shocking. This is also what I have not seen before. It was for me the first time. But I think this really is enough evidence and should alert us to take immediate actions to protect the children that are placed in these residential care centers. So, and then in parallel to reviewing all these orphanages, I also wanted to better understand the marketing strategies of tour operators for orphanage tourism. And it really became evident that the benefits that these organizations list on the homepage cater to the volunteer needs, but not for the needs of the children. And I think that really reveals that beneath the surface of altruism lies the truth and the reality that orphanage volunteering is really about fulfilling the desires of the volunteers rather than helping the children themselves, which I think really sheds light on the true nature of orphanage volunteerism and orphanage tourism. And again, this is just an example of the reviews and the organizations that I looked at, but I think it says it all. Like you can see in the middle, orphanage tourism and volunteerism, it's a happiness booster. You can see health benefits listed, your skills will be improved, you get to travel, it's a new experience, you will learn something new, and there is nothing about that it will help the child that you go and pretend you want to help. It's all about the volunteer's personal validation and gratification. So, and then of course, there's always a question, except also, of course, for us in the OSCE, because most of the orphanages are outside our region, why we should work on this, especially because if this is outside our region and if it's not the country that has these orphanages should take action. Yes, of course, they should. Deinstitutionalization is a global process, and there is a need across the world. But like Senator Reynolds from Australia said in the meeting last week at my webinar, we have created the problem, so we have the responsibility to solve it. And if I may end like with this LinkedIn research on a personal note, I myself have been a volunteer in an orphanage in South Africa, and I think there are many red flags that I maybe should have seen earlier. I saw them a bit later. I approached the management of the orphanage, whose response it was to ask me to leave and to not come back. I tried it again. I also tried to raise awareness among the volunteers who kept on arriving. But I had to stop it at one point because it became too risky. But I have seen firsthand, I have seen live how children who sometimes did not want to go out with the volunteers were forced to go out with the volunteer so that the volunteer gets his or her experience. I have seen how devastated children were when previous volunteers left, and then how excited they were when new volunteers arrived, just to be heartbroken again when they left. I have seen children who got visited by their parents, but the priest would not allow the children to be with their parents for the reason of the parents being too poor. So these have been all red flags, and there was clearly not an interest to address those from the management of the orphanage. So the research I conducted revealed many, many more child protection concerns and child protection issues. I have seen reviews of volunteers who have been very upset that the bonding session that was promised to them with a child did not take place. I have seen very upset reviews of volunteers that were promised to watch children eat, but then they already ate when they arrived. I have seen reviews of volunteers encouraging other volunteers to make sure to see the persons with disabilities in the basement. All of this has been very, very disturbing and shocking. And I think this is why I think what I've just still have on the screen, we have created the problem. We in our region, we have created the demand. So we have the responsibility to solve it.